when I use the word language, I'm not literally talking about a language. I'm talking about all the cues, all the signals that you give when you communicate that help the other person understand what you mean. When last week I was in Spain and had a speech that I had to do, so I literally flew to Spain, gave my speech, and I flew home within 36 hours. That wasn't the most difficult part of the trip, was sleep deprivation. The most difficult part is that I don't speak a word of Spanish. And so when I went over to Spain, I really wanted to be able to connect with people. It was a huge multinational bank, and I really wanted to talk to my client, but because I didn't speak their language, there was a barrier there. Think about a language. Your personality naturally speaks a certain type of language with everybody with whom you connect. My primary passion, that means I speak the language of relationship. If you have primary power, you speak the language of confidence. If you have primary prestige, you speak the language of excellence. If you have primary mystique, you speak the language of listening. If you have primary alert, you're this language of details. Innovation, you speak the language of creativity. And trust is the language of stability. Now let's take a look at an innovation personality and a trust personality. I have secondary innovation, so it's very easy for me to talk to creative people. I really enjoy conversations in which we can brainstorm and come up with new ideas. For me, that's a wellspring. It feels very effortless for me to go into a situation in which I need to be able to come up with a whole bunch of ideas immediately. Remember, I'm not good at details, but I'm very good at relationship and creativity. What this means is that when I go into a situation, sometimes I have to keep in mind that the person I'm talking to isn't necessarily speaking the same language as me. So, for example, an innovation personality in the workplace loves to be able to come in and say, I've got new ideas. We don't have to do it the same way as before. We can change everything. We can have 5 different new options by tomorrow. And they feel really energized by new, exciting challenges, and they always want to go on to the next thing. They tend to be very distractible. You know, they really like to be able to take on that process of inventing new. On the other hand, trust personalities feel uncomfortable when they're put in situations when they have to constantly create new. Trust personalities like to keep things stable. They like things to be familiar. They want to look to the past and say, look, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. When I work with trust personalities, they like to be able to say what has worked historically, how do we replicate that and not have to change it because changing things is expensive and uncertain. So in the workplace, an innovation personality is adding value through creativity, and a trust personality is adding value through stability, but there's a big clash that oftentimes happens within the company because innovation wants to change. You can see this even within your own families. When you have family conversations, the people, when you're sitting around your family at the dinner table, you'll see that there are some people that want to talk about new ideas. They want to try new dishes. They want to experiment with new music, new ways to do things. And there are other people who like to be able to have a traditional meal. They want to listen to the same favorites over and over again. Can you imagine? Can you picture what I'm saying? This dynamic. So when you understand how you are interpreting their communication in a certain way, they're interpreting your communication in a certain way, you can have much better relationship so that each of you can hear each other exactly as you mean to.